Welcome back to Aesthetic Therapy. I'm your host, Tilman, aka Mandy Mozart. And as usually, I'm going to read to you my small essays and blog posts for those who don't want to read. So you can hear my lovely voice. And this small mini series I started of articles is called Affirmation Nº1. So it's affirmations. That's the category I heard, I liked, and affirmations so far. And so, this one is called Affirmation Nº1. I'm saying yes to being rejected for art funding. Being an artist in Europe is quite unique. We are fortunate to have a huge public sector that is supporting art. The origins of this come mainly from our experience with autocracy, emperors, and dictators. It's a two-sided coin. In most parts, we are dealing with centralized authorities owning all the equity to fund art. So when the age of democracy hit the continent, finally we decided it should be centralized like other social institutions, such as healthcare and democratically orchestrated. There we go. Maybe there's a better way to spin that. In Germany, the freedom of the arts was specifically stressed in the creation of the Grundgesetz, the de facto constitution, due to the devastating implications of fascist Gleichschaltung. Goebbels founded the Reichskulturkammer on September 27th in 1933, consisting of Reichsfilm, Reichsmusik, Reichstheater, Reichspresse, Reichsschrifttumskammer, Reichskammer der Bildenden Künste und Reichsrundfunkskammer, with altogether like 250,000 members. After the war, many institutions created during Nazi regime survived and were reformed in the newly democratic way in West Germany. Kunstvereine, Stiftungen, institutions prospered in those years with newfound freedom and opportunities to confront and be constitutionally backed with funding in the West, at least. We all know German art after the war made its impact globally. Radio, the centralized propaganda machine per se, had a special fund, the annual prize of the war blind, which made radio plays a unique German genre until podcasts arrived and sort of took over that format. There we are. The East, however, restructured and in some ways even perfected the former regime's centralization and control of who was allowed to perform art or even what to perform, of course, as a socialist. Soviet Trabant, a natural satellite like the moon, that's Trabant, heavily regulated on the content level, so censorship, so to speak. Artists engulfed into very abstract, uncommercial forms of expression as a response and did their thing in the underground, which I believed sprung an amazing DIY underground scene after the reunion in 1990, which made possible the techno movement until its independence slowly decayed and came to a full stop, with a few exceptions here and there, with the COVID pandemic. That's very opinionated, but that's my point. Austria has a strong centralized government as well. Due to its geography, everyone doing art basically lives in Vienna, and history, the empire. Arts receive funding through government, BMKÖS, or city institutions, MA7, and other bigger players always connected to an agenda. I get rejected 99% of the time, no kidding. Despite filling out bureaucratic forms designed to filter out the lazy, proposals taught me only to adapt the language, made me care about topics, some morally and ideologically charged political agenda, which I can care about less, pretend to have finished ideas without any process, but the writing, and after wasting 2 or 3 months of my life each time, spit me out like it's another spam mail newsletter they wish to cancel. Well, yeah, it's very opinionated, and maybe a bit like I was one down, I can't do it anymore, so I'm whining. Anyway, big sad. I recently trolled some AR art open call on Instagram. Their claim was that they were basically disappointed that applicants used an AI chatbot to apply for their AR arts funding. Their point: you are lazy and hide your individuality behind a text that does not show you made an effort to stick out. So they make it harder now and add more mind-bending criteria so they can filter out those that do not work hard enough for their charity. My point: people were so happy about this sort of short window of opportunity where one could type in a few bullshit objectives in the funding call and hammer out a 2-page proposal. After funding is required to describe the same idea from multiple perspectives, so a few of those are required to produce for formality an actual proposal. So like all these small things like how do you plan to do the marketing for this product? How do you expect to include this and that? And what's your agenda on dealing with this? And so there's like it's specific in each art funding. Okay, anyway, the ones that piss me off the most describe the relevance of the piece. Nobody has a fucking clue if they are relevant or not. Are you raising narcissists? Describe how you are going to achieve your goal. Duh. Look at my freaking portfolio and go figure. How does your work reflect a sustainable and inclusive, and any word here that is part of the agenda? Add any word. Okay. How does your work reflect a sustainable and inclusive, if any word that you want that is part of your agenda, world for the future of our planet? It simply doesn't. It's art. Art does not intend. It might entertain and you might think, but it does not change the world we live in. So go plant a fucking tree. We encourage only serious people to apply. So describe with marketing measures what are you doing to promote at the funder's agenda here again? I don't. I hate marketing, and it just adds another layer of wasting lifetime for something that is supposed to be part of life, the experience of life. Okay, so I quote some people here and might get you on my side. Gustav Mahler legendarily said, "Arts funding brings out mediocrity." Mediocrity. This is like, it's full of fucking spelling mistakes. I just write this shit too fast. Obviously, he wasn't a big fan either. Any scientists may please investigate this further, so it's on a call to you. I hope I was able to spark some motivation. Cineast. Do you think everything in art has to have a meaning? Cineast is his magazine. David Lynch replied, "If you could put words into the symbolic equivalent of most of my visual concepts, no one would want to produce my films. I don't know what a lot of things mean. I just have the feeling that they are or are not right. My work is full of abstract ideas. By they are abstract ideas I know about. My first inspiration is life. There everything makes sense because it is linked to life." So my affirmation for 2025, it's been slowly developing because God knows I tried. It's the most liberating decision of my artistic life, to kill the lifetime killing machine once and for all. I used the time to meditate. Meditate. It's just full of spelling errors. Okay, oh my God, I should definitely spell check in the future. Wow. Write random rants, write poetry instead of pseudo-academia, draw stories instead of graphs, program music in Excel spreadsheets instead of planning hypothetical budgets that no one ever wants to look at. So I guess that's the most fun part. Because I love Excel spreadsheets, but I just don't like to do it for nothing. That's kind of pointless. I turn to creation instead of description. I make art that's enough. Give me your money to make it happening. I might fail, and that's okay. You might not like it, but others do, and that's enough. I might not suit your agenda. Fuck your agenda. Obviously, it didn't manage to stop the re-establishment of fascist regimes or the return of patriarchs and machoists. It did not spark a new wave of anti-consumerism to bridge a gap between the classes. I had a chat with Ersan Montag some other night after his premiere of Toto, the Sibylle Berg piece, in some after-hour club Goodmans on Rechte Wienzeile. It's a true abyss. And ORF1 journalist Christine Scheucher, Ersan argumented art and culture is a language you can learn, so it's accessible. But applying for funding didn't ever make sense to him either. It's more about convincing people to get your shit on stage. Support your vision. That's how I would translate this for myself. Nevertheless, is classism. If you do art commercially, you're getting involved into classism yourself. No arts funding is going to change that unless you fucking lower the bars. Here's an original thought you can save us some lifetime with. Give everyone a fucking basic income and pay them to write proposals for a change. Turn the proposals into 2 to 3 sentence pitches or image submissions like they do on 4chan, Reddit or Megaworld XYZ. Pick the lottery. Pick by lottery. I mean seriously, entire populace imagine a random person receiving arts funding and what would they do with it? That'd be an amazing experiment. Remove your judges and ask my friend Lukas Rehm, pointed out doing his morning dumpling in a restaurant. Have an AI judge proposals. You're not allowed to write yourself within AI itself. So turn it into a game that is fun to join and then forget about it. Okay, the next. Final remark. You might work in the proposal industry. Sucks for you. Take your legs out the door and live just for a short moment. Imagine you have wings. Yes, anything is possible in your imagination. Nothing is possible in an office. Mic drop.